And joining me now to discuss today's Supreme Court arguments on Obamacare, the Attorney General from California, leading the coalition of 20 states plus the District of Columbia, who were fighting to defend the ACA. General Becerra, thank you very much for being with us. Tell me what you heard in the argument today, and how encouraged or discouraged are you by what you heard?
Andrea, thanks for having me. I heard some very tough questions for both sides. That's the way it always is. But I came out of that argument feeling guardedly optimistic. What I heard was skepticism about trying to stretch this definition of standing. In order for you to be able to go to court, you have to show you've been harmed. And the way the Texas and federal government plaintiffs have tried to explain how they're harmed when the basis of the action is the individual mandate, which has been zeroed as a tax. So there's no payment. So if you pay nothing on a tax, how you can be harmed and how you can show that you have standing to go now before the court and ask for some kind of relief was kind of tough. I think given some of the arguments, I think my team and I feel very good about how we came out of this.
Now, what would be the impact if the Affordable Care Act were struck down? We're in the middle of a pandemic. I don't have to tell you, and all that California has suffered, as well as the rest of the nation. Of course, 23 million Americans could be without health care.
Andrea, lives are at stake. There's no other way to say it. And now with COVID, it's become more than obvious that if we didn't have the Affordable Care Act in place, not only would we lose lives, but we would have millions of Americans, some 12 million Americans lost their insurance because they lost their job. Because of the Affordable Care Act, many of those people have now been able to secure insurance again because they qualify. Without the Affordable Care Act, there's no guarantee. It's interesting that the federal government in court today argued that the law must be struck down as unconstitutional and that the protections against pre-existing condition must also fall as well, which is contrary to everything President Trump keeps saying in court, that no, he's going to save pre-existing conditions protections. Today, he instructed his people to argue on behalf of getting rid of the entire ACA, including the protections that keep us from falling prey to pre-existing conditions.
Now, of course, you became Attorney General after Kamala Harris left that post and became a senator. Now there's an empty Senate seat in California. Would you accept if Governor Newsom named you to that seat?
Well, it'd be tough not to accept a call to duty like that. It's just the way I accepted the call to duty by then Governor Brown to serve as our state's Attorney General. You don't often get those kinds of opportunities. But at the end of the day, Andrea, that's a call strictly for Governor Newsom to make, and I'll respect whatever decision he decides to make.
Have you heard anything about it yet?
I've heard a lot of things, just as you have, but I do not know what.
Well, from the governor, I guess I should say. But you have not. Well, you have not been told that it's coming your way.
I have not been told anything of the sort. No.
Okay. Well, thanks very much, and we hope you'll give us a call, or we'll give you a call when and if that should happen. Thank you very much, Attorney General.
Absolutely.
Becerra, very good to see you again.
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.